Hey.
Hello!
Evening, Bruce.
Good evening, sir. Belfast looks good. You've treated us to the living room instead of the kitchen tonight.
Yes. Change of scene. Oh,
Hello! Evening, Bruce. Good evening,
oh,
sir. Belfast looks good. You've treated us to the living room instead of the kitchen tonight.
yeah. Sorry. I don't know
Uh,
what's happening here. I'm just trying to get. Yeah. No. Are we live? Are we live, Bruce?
we are live. We are on, Mr. Tom, and it is wonderful to see you. It's been a month. What have you been doing for
It's
a
been a
month?
month. Oh, lockdown, Bruce. Nothing. Planning holidays, cancelling holidays, planning trips, cancelling trips, like everybody else. Yeah.
But you've been planning quizzes and making them happen.
Well,
You
we have, and
are
we've got
the man.
a panel tonight, Bruce.
We have got quite a panel, but we've gone a little bit south of the border. I'm feeling like we've got some challenges on today. No Scotsman today. English and Welsh.
No Scotsman, no Irishman. We're dragging the barrel or dragging the dregs at the moment.
We have got some absolute rock stars though, haven't we? I am very excited because we've got the best of everything. We've got someone who played in the amateur era, we've got someone who had a go at amateur and professional, and then we've got the ultimate professional, the man who was the future. He was the future, and didn't he do well?
No, we
I'm
did.
very
We did.
excited.
We've got some great guys. We've got some great guys. Everybody very generous with their time again, Bruce. Um, the guys we've picked have all got a good connection with Doddie in some shape or form. And yeah, so I don't know. Do we introduce them?
I think we should, and the first one gets me very excited. But the thing I like most about our first guest is he makes me look technically like Bill Gates because we've had an absolute shocker right up until a minute before going live. But we can now hear him. We can hear him. He is a legend and proper legend. Mr. Peter Winterbottom, England international, British Lion, but better than all of those things, he was hard as nails. Mr. Winterbottom, thank you for joining us. How are you this evening?
Hello, Bruce. Yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I had a few technical issues, but I'm getting used to these working computers. It's not as easy at home as it. When I used to be stuck in the office in the city, your computer didn't work. You just sort of shout and somebody come along and fix it. But things are a little bit more difficult nowadays. But yeah, looking forward to it tonight.
Looking forward to it and looking forward to having you with us. And on your t-shirt, you've got I cycled for Doddie. You've done a lot of getting on your bike for Doddie, and you've got more in the pipeline.
Yeah. We've had the last 3 years. We've had the Doddie's Ride up in Melrose, which has been great fun. Lots of people getting out on their bike for supporting Doddie's charity. This year, unfortunately, we couldn't do it outdoors, and we did a virtual ride. People in their garages and their living rooms got on their turbo trainers, and we managed to raise about 20,000 quid doing it, a virtual Doddie's Ride. So yeah, it was good though, and it was on Doddie's birthday as well. So yeah, we're just now planning for next year.
And you still look like you could have a run in the back row. You look fit as a butcher's dog.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not. No. So yeah. I mean, I do like.
Well,
I sort of enjoy my cycling now, and that's the only exercise I ever do. But it's too hard. It's too hard, especially the hills. For someone like Stuart, he probably finds it quite easy going up hills. Mate, it kills me. I'm good coming down them, but yeah. But anyway, in reasonable health.
you look fantastic. You're one of those annoying buggers that looks like he's got better wage. Unfortunately, I seem to be a bit like Benjamin Button going the other way. But yes, you're looking very well, and we've got a fellow Englishman to join you on the panel. This man was the future, 38 caps for England and a World Cup final. and the man who should now be known as Teflon, because in all the digging I've done, no one has got a bad word to say about him, but he did go miles up in my estimations when he thought I was Darragh O'Brien. So welcome, Matthew Tait. How are you? Oh, see, we gave Peter Winterbottom a hard time because we couldn't hear him, and now we can't hear Matthew Tait. The youngster, the professional, and we can't hear him. Come on, Mr. Tait. And I'm going to take the fall for that one, because if it wasn't for me trying to find my headphones and Peter trying to find the on button, we would have tested your audio, but you just looked so confident before we started.
Bits of it.
Oh, we've still not got him. Oh. Right, Matthew, I'm going to leave you. Go away. We need Matthew to refresh his page. So let's go on to the token Welshman, the equal opportunity stat. This is a man I love, not because he looks like Jimmy Nail, not because he's fresh out of Panto, not because he's a Welsh legend, but because his name is Rupert Moon. Welcome, Rupert Moon. I am so pleased to see you.
Let this party begin. Come on. I'm happy. Whoa.
Yes.
We don't need anybody else. Please, Winter. Just get Doddie Weir here and it'll be like yesterday. Oh.
Yes. Hang on. News just in, Rupert. Genius are not happy because they would like to promote hashtag drink responsibly. So,
good. Responsible.
Brilliant.
3%.
Rupert, I've got no interest in asking you about your international career. I want to know about Panto.
Yeah, well, do you know, I wish I'd found Panto a lot earlier in my life. I felt comfortable wearing makeup, performing in front of lots of people on a stage. I definitely was better at that than I was ever at a box kick or as a pass, as most people will tell you. I'm looking forward to having a comeback, and yeah, it was the most exhilarating thing ever. It's very nervy performing on the stage because you every mistake is highlighted, obviously. But yeah, I think I found my true vocation in life. Definitely.
Do you know the bit I love the most is I read a quote that the guy who got you into Panto said, "Don't act, just be yourself."
Which was a little bit, and his name was Owen Money. What a name that is! It was reassuring in some ways, but I didn't know whether to take it personally or not. But the crowd seemed to enjoy it, and it's great fun. It's exhilarating, it really is. It really is.
So, are you going to be back for another run?
Well, I've been pestering him on a daily basis. I didn't think it was hourly was quite on, but just once a day I send him a message saying, next time, I'm available Christmas, Easter, summer, no problem at all. I'll play any character. Any character.
Okay, right. Well, here's what we need. Next August, the whole of August, book it out, Rupert Moon at the Edinburgh Festival.
Yeah, I could definitely do that. I fancy myself as a comedian as well.
Sponsored by Genius.
By Genius.
Well, Rupert, we're going to go back to Matthew Tait because it appears Matthew, he was here and then he bolted, just like defenders trying to tackle him. They thought we had him and then bang, he gives us the slip and scores in the corner. Matthew, we hope you're going to join us. Well, I got a row last time, ladies and gentlemen. Rupert, I'm concerned because last time I got a row for this taking too long, and I reckon that you're going to stitch me up tonight by being here for a long time. So we better get on with the quiz. First round.
Oh, do I need a pen and paper? No.
Oh, yes.
We would love to hear from Matt, wouldn't we, ladies and gentlemen? There are people who have dialed in solely to hear from Matthew Tait, World Cup finalist.
There he is.
Mark at Harborough, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes! Yes! We've got Matthew Tait.
It's not going to be worth the wait. Trust me.
I've never met a man who has done so much in the game who has so little to say for himself. Come on.
No, I can't. Yeah, enjoying retired life at the moment.
I'll bet you. But I reckon you're the man that's going to have the answers to these questions. How does it go for pub quizzes? Are you the man for pub quizzes?
Depends how far they go back. Anything pre-1990 is probably no good for me.
What would be the specialist subject in a pub quiz? What would be your round?
Glasgow Rangers, 1995 to 2010.
Oh no, I'm sorry. We've lost Matthew Tait again. We've lost him. We've lost the noise. We've lost the picture. I'm sorry. It's all over. Matthew Tait, get your coat. You are done. Glasgow Rangers. Yeah. Glasgow Rangers. No.
Yeah, my old man was a die-hard Rangers fan, so we were brought up as fully kitted out. Enjoyed the Gaza days and all those times when they were fleecing everyone. I've kind of abandoned them now; they're no good anymore. But I enjoyed the glory years.
Yeah, I would hate to say that makes you a typical Rangers glory hunting fan, but that would just get me in trouble. So we better move on. We better move on. That is, Matthew Tait. See, there was me saying I couldn't find any dirt on you, and now I find out you're a Rangers fan. I could have gone to town on that one. Oh, strike a light. Right, let's go on with the quiz before I cry. That is terrible. We're going to start with round one, ladies and gentlemen. England and Wales. Now, this is certainly not my specialist subject, but the first one, I reckon I know the answer to. Question number one is worth 1 point. England's first international was in 1871. Who were the opposition? If you get that wrong, please leave right now. England's first international was in 1871. Who were the opposition? That is an absolute gimme. Peter, somebody's chirping in my ear that you potentially played in that game. That's a bit harsh, I reckon.
Yeah, I remember it well.
You must have loved playing against Scotland, though.
Tell me who the game was against. Now.
You must have loved playing against Scotland. You must have loved those Barneys.
Well, I didn't really, actually, because we hardly ever won up in Edinburgh in those days. And there were a few unfortunate results over the years, but I've got loads of good friends up in Scotland. The guys I played against and went on Lions tours with them. So yeah.
Did anybody on the Lions tour change your opinion? So you played against them and you thought one thing about them, and then you went on the Lions tour and you completely changed your mind?
No, not really. I mean, they do have a habit of being tight, and or you lot do. So it was always the best thing not to buy the first round, because they'd never buy one back.
I reckon there's a few names that we could probably put to that one. Yeah, he says drinking his free can of Guinness.
Yeah.
Question 2. Wales' first international was in 1881. Who were the opposition? So who did Wales play first? Rupert, are you seriously writing this down? I figured you were just going to recall this.
Yeah. I'm guessing everyone.
It's a 50-50, yes.
Make yourself comfortable, because question 3 is epic. Clive Woodward was the first English head coach to take charge of a Lions tour when he coached in 2005. Leslie Osborne was the previous one in 1950. But which Englishman coached the home Unions team for their one-off charity match against the rest of Europe in 1990? So the home Unions played against Europe in 1990 in a one-off game. Who was the coach? That is a toughie. We've honed in. So there's a little bit of a clue, because we've honed in on the 2 Englishmen. So there's a gimme. It was an Englishman. I think Mr. Winterbottom is confident with that one. He looks like he's nailed that. Matt, when were you born?
86.
86. So little Matt was 4 years old when this match happened. Although you played for England about 3 seasons later, Matt, didn't you?
Something like 4 seasons it was.
You were just a puppy when you played for England. What was that like?
Well, I mean, it didn't go to plan, to be fair. It was, I was 6 months out of school, finished my A-levels, and played all right for Newcastle, and then got that opportunity in the February, and really naive as to how big an occasion it was, and didn't necessarily go to plan. I think it was written in the stars that Mr. Henson was going to smash me on a couple of occasions and kick the winning goal, and so they went on to win the Grand Slam that year. So yeah, I've had better days at the office, put it that way.
But it must have been pretty special being 6 months out of school. What were your mates doing? They must have been driving around the streets in Newcastle in their souped up Nova with some tunes blasting, while you're at Twickenham running out for your first international.
I was at the Millennium, so that was the kind of. Billy Vanapola spoke about it recently, and I'm sure Rupert can elaborate on it, but hatred's too strong a word, but there's a strong dislike, and it's quite partisan and tribal when you're driving in the bus heading towards the Millennium Stadium. So again, it was probably a good thing I was naive to the rivalry to a certain extent. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have played in quite a few stadiums over the years. The Millennium with a closed roof and packed full of screaming Welshmen and Welsh women singing, and there's no more passionate people about their rugby. So in that sense, I was very fortunate to have done it. In another sense, I wasn't, because the crowning turd in the water pipe was we had an English flag on our registration, and some kind gentleman smashed our back windscreen out. So we drove from Cardiff back to my auntie's in the Midlands. Me kind of consoling myself with the wind kind of flapping against the plastic we'd used to cover the glass up. So all in all, not one to forget.
But actually, one of the reasons that Rupert here, Matthew, is because Rupert's going to apologise for that right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think it might have been the ball that threw the post that went over the outside the stadium and caught your back window from Gavin Henson. I think it was. It kept going. It just kept going. The atmosphere at the Millennium Stadium is very unique. We have microphones in all the pubs around Wales as well, and then they just beam it and make sure it goes through all the speakers. So not only is the 74,000 people screaming their heads off, but 3.2 million as well, giving it some noise. And when that roof is closed, it is quite unique. To be on the receiving end, I'm sure, certainly when you're doing well with Wales, it makes you feel 10 foot tall and 10 foot wide. And when you're absolutely blowing out your proverbial, they make sure you get up, that's for sure.
You would have hated the roof on. You loved the mud. You loved the rain. You played some of your best games with that dive pass.
Well, there was no excuse for doing a bad pass then, was there? In those days, I think it was 89, I was playing in the 89-90. It was the divisional championship. I think I played Winters for the Midlands division against London. Do you remember that in those days? Crikey, I think we won the division. I think it was. And Jeff Cook, was that 89, 88? Something like that in those days. The championship.
Happy days. Question 4. I'm getting the hurry up already because I'm in trouble. Which Welsh player captained the Lions in 1971 in New Zealand and returned to New Zealand in 77 as coach of the Lions? So which Welsh player captained the Lions in 71 in New Zealand and then returned in 77 as coach?
Come on, Matthew, you must know this.
Matt's got this. He's nailed this.
It's got to be Evans or Jones. That's normally a good guess, isn't it?
Which Welsh player captain in 71 and returned as coach in 77? Here's one for you, Matt. This is you. Question 5. Promise you this is you. Which English player captained the 2005 British and Irish Lions in the first test when O'Driscoll left the field injured? So which Englishman took over as captain? He was then dropped for the second and third test.
For a Welshman.
An Englishman took over when O'Driscoll went off. An Englishman took over as captain and then was dropped for the second and third.
That's a tough one.
That's worth a point. I actually reckon that's quite a tough one.
Yeah.
And he was dropped for a Welshman the week after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was it,
Jones? A
Jones?
Welshman in the second and third.
Well, I know the Welshman. I'm trying to go through the...
Question 6. Prior to leaving for New Zealand in 2005, the Lions played a test against Argentina in Cardiff. Who captained the Lions that night? And I thought this lad played up front for Liverpool, so there you go. Prior to leaving for New Zealand... Prior to leaving for New Zealand in 2005, the Lions played a test against the Argies in Cardiff. Who captained the Lions that night? Worth a point. Question 7. This one... everybody gets. Surely you got to get this one, Matthew. If you don't get question 7, you're in serious trouble. Which English player appeared in the 91 and 2003 World Cup finals against Australia? An Englishman played in the 91 World Cup final and the 2003 World Cup final. Who was it? After Rupert Moon, he must be the best to straddle the amateur and pro game. Legend. Question 8. Who played for Wales after he already had played tests for New Zealand, only to discover his grandfather was not born in Wales, and it led to the scandal named Grannygate? Scotland were at it as well. Scotland had it as well. So he's already played for New Zealand. He then played for Wales, but it turned out his grandfather wasn't from Wales.
I had the...
it's not the thing you want to admit, is it really?
No. I had the comeback call from Graham Henry in 99-2000, and obviously most people know that I was born in Birmingham, but Graham Henry had called me up and said, look, we need a bit of experience. We're going through a bit of a tricky time. I was 32 years old, and brought me into training. Howlers was injured, and I'll never forget on the Sunday, we having a team meeting. Brett Sinkinson, Shane Howarth were there. Monday morning, woke up. It was like they'd been stolen. There was a team meeting, and there was 2 empty seats, and it was like, what's happened there? And there was me and Colin Jarvis went to school in Warsaw, and they were like, what happened to them? What did those guys do? And then Graham Henry said, and our young pulled his calf in training. He said, oh, I think you might have to be captain. And I was like, what? Grannygate? Grannygate? You can see that happening. There we are. Interesting experiences. Born in Oldham.
Yeah. That was when you wrote your own visa application. Yeah, he was born in Wales. Question 9. England and Scotland in a remarkable match, 38 all, where it was all over, and then Stuart Rambo McInally runs the length to score just before half-time. What year was the last drawn match between the nations at Twickenham? So Scotland against England, we drew 38 all in 2019, but there was a draw before that. What year was it? What year was the last drawn match between Scotland and England at Twickenham? That one's a bit of a punt, I would imagine. Matthew, you were still just tottering around. You were in things that somebody had knitted for you by then, I think. You were you were just beginning to develop that sidestep. Question 10. Who holds the record for the youngest player to score a try on his Test debut for Wales against South Africa in 2010? He was 18 years old and 214 days. And he's not really stopped scoring since. There's a clue for you, Matthew, because you're looking a bit puzzled. I'm a bit concerned, Matt, that fringe of yours is going to end up looking like mine if you keep scratching it by the end of this quiz. So just you relax. I'll look after you. Who holds the record for the youngest player to score a try in his debut for Wales against South Africa in 2010? He was 18 and a bit, and he is quite a lad. That's the end of England and Wales, and we're now on to the 1991 Rugby World Cup. Appearing in their first World Cup, who beat Wales in the pool stages, effectively knocking them out of the tournament and led to one of my favourite ever rugby quotes?
Oh, yes.
Rupert knows, I think. Rupert knows. I absolutely love that. I can't remember who said it, but it's one of my favourite quotes. So, in their first ever World Cup, who beat Wales in the pool stages, effectively knocking them out? And then afterwards, somebody quipped, imagine what would have happened if we'd played all of them. Well, let's set the scene here. A question has come in. Is Bruce in the changing room? No, Bruce is not in the changing room. But Bruce lives somewhere where the Wi-Fi is quite restricted, which, as you can imagine, can prove some difficulties for Bruce. So to get through the security, I have had to climb to the top of the tower, and I am actually in a room that is usually inhabited by a prefect. So I am at the top of the building, and then if I look out, if you look out of Edinburgh, there's the sun. Look, the sun was evident in Scotland today. It's set to return again in 2023, so that's why I'm looking a little bit red. So no, I'm not in a changing room.
It's a prison cell,
and we so swiftly move on before that then causes any other gags to come in. Just keep it clean and remember that I would like to keep my job, so just behave yourselves, you lot. Question 12, let's move on swiftly. Ireland were leading Australia in their quarter-final match until a try in the last few minutes. Who scored the Australian try to break Irish hearts? A very, very famous, well-known Australian, one of the big names. A very handsome man who came to England and did some good things too. We see him often. Ireland were leading Australia in their quarter-final match until a try in the last few minutes. Who scored the Australian try to break Irish hearts? Question 13. I had no clue of this one. England lost the final to Australia, but who scored the only try? I had no clue. Oh, Wince is racking the brains.
Oh.
Matthew's thinking, not a clue.
I was
there.
Bruce.
I was at the game. Was there a try? It was a forward, wasn't it?
There was a try.
A forward.
England lost to Australia. Who scored the only try? And talking to the Welshman that captained against Argentina, I thought this lad played on the wing for Aston Villa.
Oh!
He was rapid as well. He was rapid, and that was when Aston Villa had the real tight little white shorts.
I'm a Villa fan. I got it.
Oh, of course. No wonder you're from Birmingham.
Yes.
Right.
I've
So,
got it.
Matthew, here's a clue for you. Rupert, how good a player is John McGinn?
John McGinn is a class player.
He
is the heartbeat of Villa.
player.
Heartbeat. Passion
And
and pride.
his favourite song is Sunshine on Leith. The man is a legend. He's a Hibby. He is a Hibs legend, and he's fast becoming a Villa legend.
Top man. Top man.
He is quality. He is quality. Question 14. Who played for Western Samoa and would later become an assistant coach with Scotland at the 2003 World Cup? And he loves a handshake. Loved a Connacht handshake. And now at Bristol, I think he has all kinds of weird and wonderful things. Which player played for Western Samoa and then became an assistant coach for Scotland at the 2003 World Cup?
I can tell you a funny story about this man. So we played...
Right, wait until the answers, because you've already given away the Kiwi from Granny Gate. And no, keep it, Mr. Moon.
I won't
keep
give
it.
his name away.
I'm even going to make a note to ask Rupert about this man, because you look like you're a bit upset at me, so this must be a good story.
He does.
It better not turn into a you should have been there story, otherwise this whole thing is going to fall on its backside. 15. The final was held at Twickenham, but what were the venues for the semi-finals? So the final was at Twickers. What stadiums hosted the semi-finals? And I was there with a broken heart at one of them. The final was held at Twickenham. The venues for the semi-finals were what? And that is worth 1 point each, so you get 2 points for that. So potential first half points are 16. We have got 16 potential first half points. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a little bit of time. The magical voices in my ear are going to tell me if anybody on YouTube is asking for any questions to be repeated. We'll then go through the answers, and then we'll have a bit of a chat, and people can nip out for a pee and recharge their genius, and we'll have a bit of a blether before we do the second half. So does anybody need any questions repeated? Matthew, you looked a bit puzzled. Have you made notes, or do you need any repeated?
No, I'm all right. I've not got a clue on some of them, so there's no point repeating it.
Have you had a stab at them, though? Have you had a crack at them with a name?
I've had a stab. I was trying to quietly get my iPad on Google and type it into Wikipedia, but I've struggled.
I would not go with Wikipedia because it told me you had 50 caps.
Oh, wrong. Very wrong. I need to rub it in as well.
It also told me Rupert Moon was British and Irish Lions captain in Australia, so that's a lot of rubbish.
I wrote it.
So, Neil, speak to me. The voice in my ear. Does anybody need any questions repeated? No, nothing at all. No, good. It's been crystal clear. Is there anybody there? Are the commune in the house? Have we got the commune there? I hope they're there. No. I got some apologies on Twitter today. Have we got some of our regulars? Tracy's in, good. Andrew's in. Yeah, Adrian's there. Adrian will be struggling with this, I've got no doubt. But he's a lovely lad. We love Adrian. Tony's there. Come on, Tony.
Bruce,
oh, good. Fiona's there. Good on you, Fiona. Yeah. We love the commune. They're my favourite. I'm going to have to visit this commune when we're here, Dara. Yes, thank you for that. I'm going to visit the commune. When I get my chance, as soon as Boris and Nicola let me out, I'm going to visit the commune. I need to come and see it in the flesh. Right, let's go through the answers, and then we'll get some stories from our fantastic guests. Question number 1. England's first international was, of course, against Scotland, who won 1-0. So that is worth 1 point. Please tell me everybody got that one. Yes, we did. Down at Rayburn Place. Excellent. Question 2. Wales' first international was in 1881. The opposition were?
England.
England. And England won 8-0. So that must have been a try and a penalty, that one. Robbed.
English
We was
referee.
robbed. Yeah, must have been. I wonder what laws they were playing. It wouldn't have been the same as the Valleys, Rupert, I don't think.
No way.
Clive Woodward was the first English coach to take charge in 2005 since Leslie Osborne in 1950, but there was an Englishman who coached the Home Unions for a one-off game against the rest of Europe in 1990. Peter, who did you have?
Oh, well, I put Roger Utley. So
That's because you are the man, Peter. You are 100% correct. It was Roger Utley. Matthew, do you know who Roger Utley is?
I do actually. I put Jack Rowell because it was the only person I could think of from around that same time.
It was Roger Utley. Fantastic moustache. That was proper facial hair. That was a quality moustache. Question 4. Which Welsh player captained the Lions in 71 and then returned as coach in 77? Rupert, do you know?
John Dawes.
Yeah.
John Dawes, correct.
Well done.
1 point.
Yes.
That is good knowledge. Right, Matthew, the pressure's on here. Which English player took over as captain when O'Driscoll left in 2005 and then was dropped for the second and third?
I put Lewis Moody because I was trying to think of back rows. It's probably not, is it?
Oh,
no. Peter,
I've
did
gone
you have a
Martin.
crack at that? Peter, who is it?
I've got Martin Curry.
Martin Corrie. Peter is knocking this out of the park. That is impressive. Martin Corrie took over and then was dropped for Ryan Jones in the second and third tests. Question 6. Prior to leaving for New Zealand in 2005 in the game against Argentina at Cardiff, who captained the Lions that night? I thought he played for Liverpool and Newcastle, but it turns out he was also quite a decent rugby player, and of course it was Rupert.
Michael Owen. Unusual
Michael
that
Owen.
was. Back row forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good player.
There must have been some kind of Welsh kind of involvement there, was there? There was probably no Scotsman in the squad. Welsh tea lady, Welsh cakes for breakfast. Yeah, Brains beer for afters. Yeah, we get it. Okay. Question 7. Which English player appeared? This is you, Matthew. This is you. Come on, Rupert and Peter have both got one. This is a gimme. Which English player appeared in the 91 and 2003 World Cup finals against Australia? It was, of course,
Jason Leonard.
yes.
yes, yes. Well done, Matthew. I am so pleased because you were the only one of this lot who turned up this morning for the rehearsal. You were the only one who sat quietly while we had all the technical issues in the run-up to this at 7:25. And then you're the one who had the shocker because you were the quiet lad in the corner that we just thought had everything sorted. So I'm pleased that you've now had your moment. I am delighted with that. Now, here we go. Rupert, this was a gimme. It was either one or the other. Who played for Wales after he'd already played for New Zealand, only to discover that his granddad wasn't born in Wales at all, and the scandal was named Granny Gate. He played at 15, Rupert, and his name was...
Shane Howarth. Shame on him.
Shame.
Shame.
He was laughing. He was laughing all the way to the bank. I wouldn't feel too sorry for him.
Yeah. He still claims
Question
that he is
9.
Welsh. You know? He still claims that he's Welsh.
Everybody claims they're Welsh. When it comes to rugby, we all claim we're Welsh. Oh yeah, I've just been told to stand up. England and Scotland in a remarkable match, 30 all in 2019, and typical Scottish fans, we were outside at half time, drowning ourselves in beers that cost £9.50 a pint, and then by the time we came back in, we thought we'd won it, and by the end we were back drowning our sorrows again. The life of a Scottish rugby fan. But what year was the last drawn match between the nations? Peter, do you have an idea of this one?
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't remember a draw at Twickenham. I don't know, but I mean, we drew in '82, 9-9 when. Yeah. Was that the one?
No, it was later than that. It was 1989. There was a draw in '89.
God.
Who holds the record for the youngest player to score a try in his debut for Wales? It was against South Africa in 2010, and he's pretty much not stopped scoring since. He was 18, 214 days. It is, of course, George North. George North.
I had that.
Oh, Rupert, I'm just putting a pin in your balloon, but I'm desperate to get to the Pat Lam story, so I'm trying to speed this thing up. 1991 Rugby World Cup, appearing in their first World Cup, who beat Wales in the pool stages, knocking them out? And it was, of course, Western Samoa, and afterwards someone quipped, imagine what the score would be if we played against the whole of Samoa. I absolutely love that. Question 12. Ireland were leading Australia in the quarter-final until who scored a try? It was Michael Lynagh. Michael Lynagh scored to break Irish hearts. Question 13. England lost the final to Australia. Who scored the only try in the match? I had not a Scooby-Doo. I thought he played for Villa on the wing, but it was. Any ideas, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Tony. It wasn't Tony Morley, it was
Tony Daly. Tony Daly. It was Tony Daly. Well done, Peter. Tony Daly scored. Question 14. Who played for Western Samoa and then would become assistant coach? Rupert, over to you with the answer and your story.
The answer is Pat Lam.
Bruce. It is, of course, Pat Lam. Yes?
Bruce, are you
Pat
listening?
Lam
Yeah.
dropped a goal
sorry.
from the base of the scrum against Wales in Samoa. And I was playing in that game, and it was something quite to behold. He went to pick up from the base. I watched him do it, and then he dropped a goal from the base of the scrum, and I applauded him.
He was a bit of class, wasn't he?
Class act.
Class.
Very good player. Lovely guy.
And now doing amazing things with Bristol after what he did with Connacht. Stu, have you got something to come in on there? You were champing away at me. Oh, it's disappeared. That's because his daughter's told him his tea's on the table. Yeah, sack him. He's just the brains behind it. He's the operations guy. He does the logistics. Question 15. The final was held at Twickenham, but the venues for the semi-final were Murrayfield, where wee Bruce on the schoolboy benches down the front was broken-hearted when England beat Scotland to get into the World Cup final. Just shows how spoiled I was, because I timed my rugby supporting in time for a Grand Slam, so I just thought Scotland won all the time. More fool me. So it was, of course, Murrayfield, and Lansdowne Road hosted Australia against New Zealand. And that was worth 1 point each. So that gives you a total of 16. Right, Stu, we cut to you, and all we saw was the mirror on that lovely mantelpiece of yours.
Oh, sorry.
So what have you got for us?
No. Well, I've got Martin Johnson, not the Martin Johnson, but Martin's joined us this evening. Now, Martin, unfortunately, is suffering from MND as well. So he's very appreciative of everything we're doing for Doddie. But just if you ever give a big shout out to Martin, he's on the quiz tonight for the first time. He's been very supportive. He's on their Twitter feed. So a big thank you very much to Martin and the guys. Now, Martin as well was on his Twitter this morning. Doddie, being Doddie, phoned him up and just to see how he was, which just proves what a legend that Doddie really is. You know, picking up the phone. He's got a lot of time for people that are suffering for this disease as well. So, evening, Martin. Welcome to the quiz. I hope you're having some fun. Hope you got a beer in your hand.
Absolutely. And I read Martin's message on Twitter, and it doesn't take much for me to get emotional. But the bit I loved was that he had a number he didn't know, and he answered it. Imagine how gutted Martin would have been if he'd just got that voicemail. But he answered it, and of course, who was it? It was Doddie Weir, and we were talking about him this morning with Matt and Stu and Neil when we were having a run through. Believe it or not, folks, we actually try and rehearse and organise this. It looks like we're flying by the seat of our pants, but this is all planned. And we were just talking about that little bit from Doddie and how he can see things bigger than him, and how he still sees value in taking some time. He turned up at Rob Burrows' door this week. I love that picture on Twitter of a socially distanced drink in the back of Rob's garden, I think. Doddie just arrived, doorstepped him. So absolutely brilliant. He's such a lad, and we all know he just had his 50th. And from what I can gather, it was absolute carnage because the family were booked in 2-hour slots. So they tried to get 6 hours of drinking into 2 hours, and so did Doddie. So by the end of it, he'd had about 3.5 weeks on the lash, and he'd squeezed it into 24 hours. So he's still having a good go at it, is the big man. So let's have our guests on, and let's see what we've got here now. Rupert, we've had a bit of a chat to you, but the things that have struck me have been how you've rammed your life full since you've stopped playing the game. And I'm surprised you've got a baseball cap on and not a little halo above there, because you seem to give yourself to everything and charities and people, and you've got a great lust for life. So tell us how life has been for you recently.
Yeah, look, it's I'm very fortunate to look like Jimmy Nail and have an unusual name, and so I can add a little I had a little bit of focus where to shine the light on some causes, and there are a number dear to my heart for a number of reasons, and you just try and help where you can. And I end up doing the legs that are on these charity events that no one else wants to do, whether it's a walk or a ride, and I just try and help in any way that I can. I'm very fortunate to have worn that red jersey a few times for Wales, but also had an incredible time with the Scarlets. And living in West Wales, it's a privilege down here. The sun always shines; it never rains, and so you just try and do your bit. That's all.
And talk me through the dive pass, because there's two things. When people talk about Rupert Moon, and I think of the Rupert Moon, the rugby player, and not the panto superstar or host of TV shows or charitable superstar, I think of the collar tucked in and the dive pass. So talk us through the collar tucked in and the dive pass.
So the collar tucked in was based around my father was saying, look, everybody keeps grabbing you, so literally tuck it in. And so that's what I used to do, and tuck it in I did, and they still grabbed me. So I think I needed to basically get something done about my nose, because they grabbed me by whatever protuberance that was sticking out at the time. It wasn't the collar, it was the nose. And by having a nose like mine, I was, having lived in Pontypridd, I was the first ever uncapped grog, because the grog shop, which were the clay figurines, the guy who owned that said I had a face that deserved to be grogged. And so, but anyway, so and the dive pass, interestingly enough, when I grew up in Warsaw, the scrum half who helped me and guided me early on was an English scrum half by the name of Jan Webster. Jan played for England a few times. Actually, was the English scrum half when they beat New Zealand. I think that's right, if I'm correct. But he was a dive passer, and so he was a guy that used to guide me. So I blame him for the dive pass. And in the end, it was just about getting it from A to B. And I loved to fly half that just didn't moan. And I was very fortunate. Neil Jenkins was not one of the blokes that moaned, or Colin Stevens or Frano Botica. They just got it, and they didn't care how it got there, as long as it got there.
We all loved the dive pass. Why is it not there anymore? What's happened to the dive pass? Why is it gone?
Well, people are afraid of the fact that what happens when you're on the floor, you see. You've got to get down and get up. I've actually got footprints on my back because I was too slow getting up. so I'd do a little furrow. But I was privileged in the fact that I had Martin Johnson or Wade Dooley or Mike Teague or maybe Peter Winterbottom's footprint on my back or in my derriere, as they say.
I love I think it's time we brought back the dive pass. I reckon we need to start some kind of Twitter campaign to bring back the dive pass. Aaron Smith's good, but he's sadly lacking a dive pass in his game, isn't he?
It's the only way forward. He could be a world-class scrum half. Mike Phillips has been known to dive now and again, but he wouldn't go full frontal, but he did used to dive now and again.
Yeah, you're absolutely a full frontal kind of guy, Rupert. I can tell that. So speaking of Peter Winterbottom, Peter, if I look back with romantic eyes, which I often do, your era of the game must have been an absolute joy to play in, was it not?
Yeah, I mean it was. Yeah, I mean I loved the game, and I was quite lucky to start at a fairly young age, not as young as Matthew Tait, but I was 21 when I got my first cap. So, playing with your heroes, and it's quite special. But then, yeah, with England in the mid '80s, we were pretty appalling, and we had a very poor record. We had some reasonable players, but we never really sort of got ourselves organised. And luckily, later on, when I was sort of getting to the end of my career, England came good, and obviously that Will Carling became captain, and all the guys that had sort of underachieved through the '80s suddenly came good. So, yeah, and I mean, look, it was an amateur game, so you weren't accountable to anybody apart from yourself and your teammate. Yeah, it was great fun. And I was very lucky to do a lot of travelling over that sort of 11-year period.
And playing for the British Lions in that era, when it really was a mishmash of all four unions, no one particularly overrepresented, and the chance to be away from social media and certainly no fly-on-the-wall documentaries, those must be memories that, well, you've probably forgotten some of them, but they must be moments that when you bump into people now, you just get right back there, do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's the game's changed so much, hasn't it? I mean, when we went on the '83 Lions tour to New Zealand, we were away for 11 weeks, and we played, oh God, I think it was about 18 games. Yeah, I mean, and the boys had a great time. I wouldn't like to sort of even start to tell a few stories about what happened on that tour, but if we can imagine, we had a good time. And it's sort of hard. It's difficult now to sort of say to obviously professionals now with the sort of great support staff. I mean, we went to New Zealand with 30 players. We had a manager, Willie John McBride, Jim Telfer was coach, and then we had a physio and a doctor, and that was it. Quite staggering now to look at how the game has changed, but. Yeah, so we were very sort of close, quite a tight-knit group, and at times we had a great time, but it was tough. It was a tough tour.
And Creamy Telfer is someone that's had a massive influence on Doddie's life and playing career. How did he go down with the English, the Irish, and the Welsh? What was it like working with Creamy?
Oh, absolute nightmare. He was such a hard ass. I mean, you go on a tour 11 weeks. We get 1 week of a sort of break where we went up to the Waitangi, up to the Bay of Islands. So we get on we got a coach from Auckland. So we get on it's Sunday. So we get on the coach and we have a few beers on the coach, and we're thinking, great, we've got a couple of days off training, be brilliant. And the next game was the sort of following Saturday, so we knew we had a few days R&R. So we get to Waitangi, and Creamy Telfer calls training the following day at 9 o'clock. And we're going, you're kidding. We just, is it possible to have like 2 or 3 days off? And he wasn't having it. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the older boys on the tour were really struggling fitness-wise, and and came down with all sorts of injuries. I mean, we lost people like Ike Stevens, Terry Holmes, Bob Norse, Jeff Squire, and I think well, Creamby will disagree, but he flogged us to death. So of course the Scots boys thought, that's brilliant. That's the way it is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were quite happy to get back to HQ when you got home.
Oh, you look, yeah. I mean, it was, it was great fun, that tour, and I mean, luckily I was able to go on a tour to New Zealand, 10 years later with the Lions, which was great, and that was when Geach was coach, which was quite nice because it was my sort of last sort of senior rugby, and my first senior rugby was actually playing with McGeechan at Headingley in his last season. So yeah, he was slightly different coach than Creamby Telfer. Yeah.
Yeah,
both good.
The perfect foil, I think, wasn't he? Because they were quite a team together.
Yeah, they were. I mean, that's probably '97 in South Africa, wasn't it? When McGeechan and Telfer first got together as the Lions coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, and did some pretty spectacular things. So Matthew Tait, who is still with us, I hope. How are you, Matthew?
All right, can you hear me, Brew?
Yeah, we've got you loud and clear. Now, I reckon the rounds that are coming up are you. I reckon you're going to be good on these picture rounds because you'll have been to most of these places. So you are Mr. Professional Rugby, and played for 3 pretty big teams, and then you won with Leicester Tigers, which has to be career highlight. Is that right?
In terms of like achievements and medals and winning a trophy, it was amazing, and I was fortunate that I played a kind of major part in that run to the final where we beat Northampton, which kind of makes it extra sweet. It was sort of personally for me, I'd kind of come down to Leicester 2011 and missed best part of 15 months with a pretty serious groin injury that I thought was going to retire me at the ripe old age of whatever it was, 24, 25. So to then have that the season following to go on, and in terms of like most memories, actually my time away on the Sevens circuit back in 2005, just getting a chance to see the world and play a different form of the game, of play the Commonwealth Games and then go across to Hong Kong. I'm sure you guys have done Hong Kong at some point and know how special an event is. Those are the actual memories I hold the dearest.
The Sevens circuit is quite a circus when it rolls into town. You've won in Dubai, you've got a Commonwealth Games silver medal, and you've mentioned Hong Kong. Where would you give your right arm to go back then and have another crack at it?
If I could relive any moment, it would be going back to Hong Kong. I mean, to be honest, that whole trip was just amazing. So we'd done a week on the Gold Coast training, and then played Com Games, and then we had a week's training in Bali before Hong Kong. Went up to Hong Kong, and we played some good stuff, and then we were getting beaten by Fiji in the final, and the kind of klaxon had gone. I think we were still on our own 22, and we managed to go pretty much the length of the field and score at death. And Benny Gollings kicked a conversion to win it. And yeah, it's those are the memories I kind of treasure the most, rather than necessarily winning the Premiership and winning the trophy.
Would you go back to any of these Sevens venues as a supporter? Would you like to see it from the other side of the fence?
Yeah, I think Hong Kong's a pretty unique experience. Have you been Hong Kong, Bruce?
Yeah, I lived in Hong Kong for 4 years. I was there 2001 to 2005. Couldn't bloody believe it. Scotsman arrives, England win, and then thank God by the time I left, Fiji won.
Yeah, and I'd go South Stand in Hong Kong, I think, and then probably Dubai's come come on a huge amount since I was there, and maybe it's Wellington. I don't actually know whether Wellington's still on the circuit, but it's just the whole weekend, it's just like a big kind of party atmosphere, and everyone's getting dressed up, and it's a decent old occasion, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a party going on and there's some rugby on in the background. That kind of idea. Right. Well, we're now on 8:30, so it's time for the second half, and we've got a picture round. So everybody, cross your fingers, because this is going to be technology at its finest. So we have some stadiums, and then we have some people. So let's go with number 16. This is worth 1 mark. And what worries me about some of these stadiums is they've now got sponsors' names. So there's probably a bit of leeway in here. But I'll also give you the mark if you can give me the city that is in. And it has quite a well-known nickname, this one. I'm pretty confident Wints has played there. And I think the others may well have had a crack there, but it probably didn't look like that. That one's quite far away. You would struggle to get further away for a test venue in that one. That is question 16. It's very far away. The next one's a toughie. Well, is it really? That one is the site of some of rugby's greatest memories, certainly in the modern game. There's so many famous pictures from that stadium.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very famous pictures taken in that one. That is an absolute cracker. Number 18 is a bit closer to home, and I think our 3 guests will all get hold of this one. It has a famous stand that there's probably a bit of it's probably known as banter, but for away players it's likely to be closer to abuse. So it has a very well known stand. I would love
Nobody
to visit.
muddier than
These well, back in the day.
Yeah, Barnes' favourite ground.
Whose favourite ground?
Stuart Barnes.
Stuart. Oh, we're getting on to Barnsley.
We lost in the European Cup. And, they dropped a goal in the last minute of the game, and it hit a prop's backside, bounced on the crossbar, and it went over. Last play of the game, our prop hit it. He missed. Literally, they miskicked it, hit our prop, but went straight up in the air, bounced on the crossbar, and dropped over. We lost 15-12 in the European Cup. Never forget. Haunts me.
Oh well.
Well,
only 25
look on the
years
bright
ago.
side, Rupert. Look on the bright side. It's going to get you a point in this quiz.
Thanks. Trying to erase
silver linings and all that. Okay, next one is just across the water. Another one I would love to go to on a Friday night. Although I think you probably struggle to get a ticket on some Friday nights. Some cracking derbies there. Some good memories for Glasgow fans, I think. Did they get to go there and do some nice things?
They did, yeah.
They did. Just down the road, Stu. The last one of the stadiums, I reckon you just give us the city. It's the site of somewhere pretty spectacular. So last one in the stadiums. It's a bit of a ruse because it's down for soccer and athletics there, but that one is the site of something that we've all watched very recently. And if you look just behind that little circular thing in behind, I think that's Greg Laidlaw's new flat. That's what they gave to Grieg for his accommodation. No, it's not Riverside Park in Jed. It's a wee bit further away. So now, after the stadium, we are on to naming the players, and we can start to pick up more than 1 point for these. So, question 21. Name the players. We've got the players scoring and the player who is attempting to make the tackle. So, ignore all the ones in behind. The player who is scoring and celebrating, and then the player who's on his knees trying to make the tackle. They were when rugby jerseys were rugby jerseys, when the shorts had pockets for your gum shield, where you had to use laces to tie up your socks. They were the days. So name the try scorer and the person trying to make the tackle. Question 22. Yeah, you were just a pup then, but you know the next one. This one's a gimme. 22. This is a mate of yours. Well, maybe it's not actually. Let's not go too quick. And that picture was probably taken from his social media with a comment saying that if you like the post, he'll send that jersey to you. He literally gives away the shirt off his back every other day on social media. But he does love the game.
Anything to
I
get
love
followers.
his enthusiasm. Anything to get followers. Oh, listen to Mr. @Jimmy Nail on Twitter, Rupert. That is one of my favourite ever songs on the Crocodile Shoes album. It's called Cowboy Dreams. It's an absolute belter.
He's going to play it.
Crocodile shoes. Crocodile shoes.
Crocodiles.
Crocodile shoes.
How big are you, Rupert? That guitar's tiny. You're massive. Next one, question 23. There are two players, so this is worth 1 mark each. One of them with my favourite nickname. I love the guy in the shirt. It absolutely cracks me up. But what a player. And speak of the devil in behind that is sadly lacking in a dive pass.
Exactly. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got. Well, I've just had a request from the voices in my ear, and I'm not sure if I should go through with it, because the request is that Rupert is going into darkness, and we need to turn the light on so we can see him. I think we should put that to a vote.
No.
Do we need Rupert to be lit, or should we just let him go into darkness? Matthew's all for leaving the lights off.
That better.
The lights are on.
See, that's Rupert being the man he is with the energy-saving light bulb. Good man, Rupert. It'll warm up. It'll bite.
I've got the horses outside.
But by 11:15, that'll be as bright as that one in behind Matthew's left shoulder. So that was worth a point each. The next one is if I was to stand up and show you my lockdown bod, this would probably give you a fair idea of how hard I've been working. I think you've just superimposed his face onto my body, Stuart Tom. That is
that's wishful thinking.
That is pretty spectacular, isn't it?
What?
And he's wearing a hat, but I hope he's applied sunscreen to the rest of him, because I'm not sure he's taking this seriously.
This rugby thing.
Yeah, that is quite sickening. Let's move on before Fiona and the commune keels over. Let's go to number 25, the man who has retired and then picked up the biggest paycheck in his life. Let's look at number 25. He is laughing all the way to his private bank. No, I'm going to stop playing rugby now, and then I'm going to get a call from Saracens, and I've got another few seasons in me. That's the way to go. So who is that? That is our picture round. So now we're on to Grand Slam stuff. And we've got a few questions to go, actually. The second half, tell you what, I'm getting tired here. Let's get a move on. Question 26. In 1984, Scotland, they won the Grand Slam. Who beat Scotland in May 1984, their first match after winning the Grand Slam? So Scotland, on a high, have won the Grand Slam in 1984, and then they go away on a tour to a country that they've probably not toured in since, and they get hammered. Who was it? There's a clue for you. Matthew has not got a Scooby. There is not a chance you would have toured there, Matthew. I don't. Have they been in the World Cup that you might have been awake for? That's a toughie. They didn't have to go too far, Matt. I'll give you that one, right? They didn't have to go too far, but it's been a tour, so they've had to leave these shores. 27. 1990. Scotland. During their 1990 Grand Slam season, there was only one injury substitution. Wince is going to get this. Who was the player who replaced the injured Derek White in the final match against England? So Derek White went off, and then they brought who on? Although it was touch and go for Tony Stanger to play, and they invited Tony and Roger Baird up for training during the week and made Tony train with the forwards to make sure he's match fit. So who replaced Derek White? Wince has got a bit of a steely look in his eye. I'm a little bit scared. No.
Yeah, what, that was 1990.
1990. Derek White went off, and this man came on. Oh, that's a scratcher. That's a scratcher. I remember that. I was there.
In the picture.
Question 28. In 2005, Wales won the Grand Slam, their first since 1978. Who did they beat in the last game? So who did they beat in the last match to win in 2005? That must have been a hell of a party, Rupert, was it?
Oh, I think that was when, after the end of the game, Max Boyce came on the pitch and sang. And I was working as head of commercial for the WRU then. And if we'd won, he was going on to sing to the crowd. Final whistle went. He's running off down the players' tunnel saying, "I've forgotten the words to Calon Lan." So he ran back to his dressing room to go, "Max Boyce." And he's running out, there's 75,000 people, and I'm watching him run down the tunnel going, "Where you going, Max? Forgotten the words to Calon Lan. My God, come on." And he came back and he remembered the words.
I love Max Boyce. I want him to come and sing hymns and arias. I just love that man. And he's a good club man, isn't he, Glenheath?
Well, he lives next door to the ground at Glenheath.
Yeah, I was hearing that. Does he not live behind the posts at one end?
Yeah, just at the one end. Still does to this
day.
Still sells out
president
everywhere.
Of the club. President of the club? Yeah.
Still sells out.
Max Boyce.
When he goes on concert, he still sells out.
Yeah, and I need to come and see Max Boyce. Matthew, can we see Matthew? Because I'm a housemaster and I know you went to Barnard Castle, I'm being told that you have to sit up straight, lad.
Sorry.
I'm getting it in my lug. That you have to sit up straight. There you go. That's better. Now we can see you. In 2019, Wales won the Grand Slam. What was significant about their game against France in the first game? So Wales won in 2019 the Grand Slam, but in their first game against France, what happened? It was a game of two halves, let's put it that way. So in 2019, Wales won the Grand Slam. What was significant about their win against France in the first game? It was an absolute cracker.
Belter.
That was one of the roller coasters that made you realise what it's like to be a supporter. And then you lucky buggers got the Grand Slam by the end of it. So you probably forgot all about it very, very quickly. Question 30. England in 1991. Majority of the side that beat France in the final match also played against Scotland in 1990. Name the two players that featured in 91 but not in 1990? Tatey, do you want to phone a friend for these ones? Do you want to phone somebody older?
Need to phone my old man. You probably know.
Right, wait, phone Mr. Tait.
So who play? What? So who? You're saying two players played in '91 that didn't play in 90.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
So it was largely the same team, but there was two players different. Who were they? That is an absolute cracker, and it just shows either how consistent teams were then, or how the selectors just liked who they liked. That's probably a discussion for a whole other day. Question 31. In 1992, England, who was the scrum half who scored in the first 3 matches? So in 92, when England won, a scrum half scored in the first 3 matches, and he probably should have been playing for a different country with a name like that. So in 1992, for England, who was the scrum half who scored? Matthew, you're going to chew that pen right down to the nib. Behave yourself.
That scrum half couldn't dive past, though.
No,
Yeah,
he
exactly.
couldn't dive past. He's also
Not worth knowing.
He's robbing you as a pundit as well, Rupert. It's time to get you in there.
Yeah.
Question 32. In 2009, Ireland won the Grand Slam. Who was the coach that guided them to the Grand Slam, their first since 1948? And I was so disappointed that when he left at some of the headlines, there was a pun that just was begging to be used, and I'm hugely disappointed that I didn't see it anywhere. So in 2009, Ireland won the Grand Slam, first one since 1948. Who was the coach that guided them to that Grand Slam? That doesn't feel like that long ago. Good grief, 2009. And then 10 years later, they did it again. In 2019, Ireland won. They scored 3 tries against England in the final match to win the Grand Slam. Who scored the tries? That's a doozy. That is a corker. One of them's a scary back row. One of them's a winger that scores all the time. And one of them's a centre that's a bloody good player. So 3 points. Ireland won in 2019. They scored 3 tries against England in the final match to win the Grand Slam. Who were the try scorers? And that is worth 1 point each, so 3 points. We're very close, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost there. Hang in. We've got 2 questions to go. Question 34. Saracens are hoping to play a friendly match at the new Tottenham Hotspur ground next year. Who against? Saracens are hoping to play a friendly match at Tottenham Hotspur's ground next year. Against who? I wonder if anybody will show up to that. That's an interesting one. Although I would like to go. I'm not saying that it's not worth going. I just wonder who's going to go. And then question 35. Which 2 nations have been added to the 6 Nations teams for this year's autumn tournament? If you can explain all this to me, I will be so impressed. Good grief. Who knows what is going on in the autumn? What is happening to the world? It's going to be, yeah. Although I'm hoping that Scotland have got the luck of the draw in their group of 4. We just want some rugby back, don't we? We just want some rugby that's not New Zealand, because the buggers are just showing everybody up at the moment. Right. Are we ready to rumble? We're not giving you a chance. We're just going for it because I'm getting pelters here for taking too long again. Right, Rupert, I'm glad you're happy. Wince, are you happy? Do you need some more time with that one from 1991 because you're looking pretty serious about that one?
No idea.
Matthew, what did you get in the first round out of 16? First half, sorry. What did you get?
I got 10.
Oh, nice.
10 out.
10 out of 16.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Oh,
Not
I'm
so good
not
this
feeling sorry
round.
for you anymore. Oh, well, we'll see when we get to these grounds. Right, let's have a look. Could we get the pictures back up again? So let's get 16. Anybody? Where's this?
Mate, I went Carisbrook.
You have nailed it again. You are very, very good at this. That is absolutely Carisbrook, but we give you Dunedin. That is Carisbrook. You must have had some fights there, Wince.
I had played there a couple of times. Yeah, I don't think I've never won there, but played a few times. Yeah, but it was always cold and wet, so it was a horrible place.
That's why you need the scrum half to dive pass. You see, that would have solved so many issues there. Next one, number 17. This, of course, Matthew, you're going to hit us with this. Where is that?
I was going to say Ellis Park in Joburg.
You have nailed it. Great work. You even gave us where it is. Ellis Park in Johannesburg. Well done, Matthew. Delighted. Well, I think we need to let Rupert have this one. What is the answer to number 18? Where is this?
Gloucester.
Gloucester. It is, of course, Gloucester. It's Kingsholm. So who hit the drop goal?
It was the scrum half. I forgot. I've erased it from my memory. I'm sure he was an overseas player, but it caught Phil Booth's buttocks. Our prop's buttocks. He just dropped out crossbar. Heartbreaking. He was too fit. He should have stayed on the floor, and it would have gone under the crossbar. Unbelievable.
That's quite a story, though. It's
on YouTube.
Well, so are we. And so are we. So nobody searched that yet. You can do that when we're finished here. Next, this is down the road from Stuart. Where is this? Number 19. Matthew, you must have played there.
Yeah, no, great place to play. I've not been particularly successful there, but it's a good atmosphere and a good stadium.
Yeah, it must be fun. That is, of course, the Kingspan for Ulster, or Ravenhill. Ravenhill, to those of us who are not really up with the sponsors. That is Ravenhill or the Kingspan in Ulster. And then last, I'll be impressed with this one. Last one, number 20 in the stadiums. Anybody willing to have a crack at that?
Well, it's clearly Japan, isn't it? I don't know which one.
That one is in Yokohama. That is the Yokohama in Japan. So that is the Yokohama Stadium. I would love to go and watch rugby in Japan. It just looks bonkers. Right, next, let's get on to this one. This is a hero of mine. Who is scoring the try and who is trying to make the tackle? The try scorer is, of course, Scotland international legend winger Ivan Tukolo. That is Tooks. And who is the tackler? Peter, do you know who's making the tackle?
Yeah, I reckon it was Nigel. It's Nigel Carr, isn't it?
That absolutely is Nigel Carr. Matthew, who did you have for that one?
I put no idea.
No idea. Yeah, okay. That was Nigel Carr. Brilliant wins. So Took scored a try and Nigel Carr trying to make the tackle. Question 22. Who is that? It is, of course, Will Greenwood. His enthusiasm for the game is fantastic. And then the next one, here he is. It's Ben from accounts and Aaron. So Aaron Smith and Ben Smith. So that is worth 1 mark each. Ben Smith in the shirt, who I think is about to go to Japan, and Aaron Smith, the scrum half, who cannot dive past. 24. Who is this guy? Zimbabwean Wallaby. That is David Pocock. What a torso. Good grief, he's let himself go. That is David Pocock. And then we have got the man who has got the most lucrative retirement deal you could possibly imagine. He's had enough at Glasgow, and Saracens give him a call. Did any of our panellists get that one?
Tim Swinson.
Tim Swinson. He was is he an Oundle schoolboy, I think? Matt, is that right?
Yeah, he was in Newcastle in the academy when I first came through. I think he's a year or two below me.
That's right. He went from Newcastle to Glasgow, didn't he, I think?
Yes, I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did, and now he's got Saracens to send him off into the sunset with a nice handshake. So that's good on him. Certainly don't grudge him. Good lad, Tim. So question 26, Grand Slam in 1984. Scotland won the Grand Slam, and then in May they went on tour and they got beat by Matthew. Who did you have?
I put Romania.
Yes, yes. You are absolutely right. They got beat by Romania in Bucharest. Go figure. You win the Grand Slam and then you get beat by Romania. That could happen to only one test nation in the world, and it is, of course, Scotland. In 1990, Scotland won. There was one replacement. Wentz, did you get there in the end?
Sorry?
Derek White went off.
Yeah, no, I didn't get it. I don't know.
You didn't get it? It's Sticks from Hoyk. It's Derek Turnbull.
Yeah.
Derek Turnbull came on wearing number 19, and I'm pretty sure Bill McLaren made a comment about them getting excited down at Mansfield, as they would. And then Sticks became a policeman in Gala, so that when he retired he could batter Gala men off the pitch as well. What a guy, Sticks. I love Sticks. He is brilliant. Question 28, 2005, Wales won the Grand Slam, their first since 2005. Who did they beat in the final match? It was Rupert.
Ireland.
You must have that one. Ireland, of course. They beat Ireland. That was a hell of a game. When the final whistle went, that place went nuts.
Oh yeah, what a party that was! It'd been a long time.
What a party that was. Hey, don't speak to me about long times for Grand Slams. Hey, give me that rubbish. Hey, I'll get my tiny little violin out for you.
We got too many now.
2019. Yeah. Hey, I would just take a Lions test player at the moment, Rupert.
Yeah, you'll be lucky.
Hey, don't I know it? So 2019 was Wales again. They won the Grand Slam, but what happened in the first match against France? Can anybody remember?
They were losing at half time. It was on my birthday, and I wouldn't believe it until I actually sat there in the stand and saw it for myself. An incredible match. Incredible.
Yeah, 100%. They were losing 60-0 at half time, and then Gat said to them, "Listen, lads, it's Rupert's birthday. Are you going to throw this one away? Pull your finger out and do it for the best dive pass and scrum half without a collar this country has ever seen." They turned it around. It's the biggest comeback in Six Nations history for Wales. So, yes, it was the comeback. 1991, England, the majority of the side that beat France in the final game, also played against Scotland in 1990. Name the two players who featured in 91 but not 90. Did you get to this one, Peter?
Mate, honestly, I have no clue. I mean, I should do, but I don't.
Nah.
So I put Bayfield and Tony Underwood, but I think I'm wrong. So
no, it was Nigel Hislop.
Okay.
And Dean Richards.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, now I think about it. Yes. Anyway.
Matthew's just chewing that pen again. It's okay, Matthew. You're still doing well. Just you keep going. In 1992, England. Who was the scrum half who scored in the first three matches? Who was the scrum half, Matthew? He scored in the first three matches for England in 1992.
He's rubbish.
I don't know.
Clues, man. And he couldn't dive pass.
I don't know him either.
Yeah. It was Dowie Morris. Dowie Morris.
Be quick, Al, you.
Question 32. In 2009, Ireland, who was the first coach to guide them to a Grand Slam since 1948? It was Declan Kidney. Declan Kidney, number 32. And then number 33, this is a toughie. 2019 Ireland. They scored 3 tries against England in the final match to win the Grand Slam. Who were the try scorers? They were Ringrose, Stander, and Stockdale. So they're worth 1 mark each. So Ringrose scored first. CJ Stander, who must be unbelievable to play against and wonderful to play with, and Jacob Stockdale, who just seems like he likes scoring tries, so he does it lots and lots and lots. So they're worth 1 mark each. And then the last 2 questions. Saracens are hoping to play a friendly match at Spurs against the Stormers from Cape Town. So the answer to 34 is the Stormers. And then the very last question of our night, which will make the second half worth 24 marks, which gives us a total of 40. Which 2 nations have been added to the 6 Nations teams for this year's autumn tournament that will probably be given some horrific name? And it is Fiji and Japan. And I think you've probably been sleeping under a rock if you've not got those 2 points. So they are worth 1 mark each. So that gives you a second half of 24 with a potential total of 40. So while Wince does his adding up, Rupert, have you got a little app that's helping you calculate that? Or you seem quite confident there?
I think I got 42.
That's because one of your answers hit off your prop's arse and went over the bar to give you 3.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think it may have been around 40, 39-ish.
Yeah, 39-ish.
Gary
Matthew,
Morris.
what was your score? What was your score, Matthew?
Round, I got 16 in that round.
Oh, that's a decent score. 26 out of 40.
Yeah.
You've done very well.
I need to put myself in
delighted
before
with
my back. Guys.
Yeah, I'm watching mine just tick, tick, tick down. Peter, what was your score?
I managed 30.
30. That's strong. That is right, Rupert. You are our sole Welsh representative. We've gone from 26 to 30 out of 40. Are you going to snatch it at the death, or are we going to have to sing God Save the Queen?
You can say whatever score you want. We can't sing that. I'm saying 31.
Right, get Max Boyce on the phone. Get Max Boyce. We need him to sing Callow Lad. Hymns and arias, land of our fathers. Yes.
Yes. Some scores here, Bruce.
So I have scored. I have sung Hymns and Arias with Jimmy Neal. Go figure. Friday nights are good nights. So happy with that. So scores in the dares. Stu, do you want to come in and give us some scores from our wonderful participants who have probably got a bag of chips and gone home by now?
Tracy over halfway. Fiona Frater, 20 out of 40. Fiona, 29 from the commune out of 29 out of 40.
Good effort.
Willie Cook, 31. Michael Neal, a bit of a collapse, 25 out of 40. Tony McCarty, 24 total here, middle of the pack. Ballymena boys are back in here. Here, Bruce. 30 for them. Mainly due to
love
Bruce's
the Ballymena
hints.
boys.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to visiting the Ballymena boys.
Well, I think the offer's there. The offer is there.
I reckon I'd fit in with the Ballymena fat boys as well. I reckon my lockdown physique means I could just slip right in there.
Well, there were some comments that they thought that the Pocock was you.
Yeah. It's not far away. It's not far away. Look at that. It's like a knot in a midge's penis. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, good night. Yeah, I'll get my coat. I'm glad the commune did well. Yeah, let's go back. Hey, you laugh too loud, Mr. Moon. You laugh too loud, right? Wait till I show you the pictures of me being the Panto Dame. That'll give you a chuckle. 3 years in a row, critically acclaimed pantomime dame for hire.
Oh,
So this is deteriorated. I blame the guests. Stu, do we have any business? Is there anybody else we need to mention before I sign off and hand over to you?
No, we're all good. We're all good.
We're all good. We're all good.
I've lost concentration because Rupert's laughing so much. But no, just another successful quiz, Bruce. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure having you as the host. And again, thank you very much to the guys that have stepped in tonight. The next one we're going to do is the end of August, as you know, Bruce. This one we've got the Wingers, and it's a Thursday night, so it's the end of August, Thursday 27th. Tony Stanger, we have Shane Williams, Ollie Phillips with his stories of Mummy P, and Tommy Bowe from Ireland. So it's a Wingers collection in August, and that's the Thursday the 27th. But yeah, just a big thank you to you.
I'm going to fit right in with those boys. I will fit right in with those fast boys. That's my kind of speed. Gentlemen, it's been absolutely magnificent to have you. Matthew, you started off quietly. You have done brilliantly well. I'm glad you're plugged in. Thank you very much for joining us. Any messages for the 4 million people that have tuned in to YouTube for us about Doddie and about the future?
Oh no, it's just such an amazing cause to keep raising awareness and raising funds for. Doddie's fighting with all the energy he has to do every little bit that he can, as you've kind of spoken about. I think it's the cause bigger than himself. He's driving to try and find a cure for all the people that suffer from this really shitty disease. So dig deep and keep donating generously, and monetary or just with your time, to support the Doddie causes.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matt. Wint, it's an absolute honour to have a British Lions legend, because I'm not giving you any credit for this English nonsense, but being a British Lion is absolutely amazing, and the work that you're doing to support Doddie and the time and energy you give is fantastic. Anything you want to drum up to see if you can get people involved with in future?
No, we've I don't do very much really. I mean, we have a cycle ride every year, the Doddie's Ride, and we're sort of setting the date next year for Doddie's birthday again on July the 4th. So that'll be the date in Melrose. And I just say, for everybody who has supported and who will continue to support Doddie5 Foundation. I mean, it's just incredible the way that Doddie has sort of taken up the sort of mantle, and his positivity is just endless. And I think we can take everybody can sort of look at Doddie and take strength from him, because he's he is an absolute legend. And so keep supporting him, and one day they'll find a cure for motor neurone disease, and the work Doddie's done will go a long way to making it happen.
Brilliant. Thank you, Wint. It's an absolute honour to have had you with us. Thank you. And Rupert, down there in West Wales, it's been an honour to have you with us. You've given us a lot of laughs. Any memories or last comments?
Look, it's just an honour and a privilege and a pleasure just to have played a small part in maintaining the profile of this incredible cause. We love Doddie to bits. Everybody does. He's infectious. He's courageous, and we have the ultimate respect for him. So that's why we're all here. And I salute you two guys, Bruce and Stu. Top job, and doing what you're doing. Well done, everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rupert. Matthew, Wint, and Rupert, an absolute honour. Thank you for joining us. It's been superb. Stu, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the regulars and those first-timers, Martin especially, it's been a massive honour to have you watching along online, and best wishes go to you. Stuart, thank you for letting me have a go. Anybody out there, if you've enjoyed yourself, I've been Bruce Aitchison, and if you haven't, my name's Doddie Vipond. Have a great night. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Night, Bruce. Cheers.
Cheers, folks.